Hey everyone, Ronin here, back with another video, and welcome back to the channel. But before we get into anything major, we gotta thank the patron as always. So, Kyrie Harper, thank you very much for your continued support over on Patreon. And also, everyone, analytics are very important, so please check out these numbers right here, and don't forget to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm for the video. And if this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications, so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. And if you want to support the channel even further, consider becoming a YouTube channel member or a patron. You'll get early access to everything I post here on the YouTube channel, plus you'll get exclusive access to content that I don't post on the main channel, so that's something to look forward to. But with all that being said, let's get into What If I Wrote the Pokemon Anime Part 19. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's part in the exact aftermath where we left off in the last one. Brock is alone in his room. He's holding Togepi, as the newborn is quite tired after the day that it experienced and all of the emotions that have been running through the trainer. He doesn't want to expose it to this kind of negativity, so he's doing his best to table any negative thoughts that he has toward his family, as he wants to make sure that Togepi isn't exposed to this. However, Brock won't have to do this task alone, as Misty and Ash are both here to support the trainer. They talk to him about what happened with his mom, but Brock doesn't want to talk about it. He's done with his mom. It's always the same thing. She always thinks about herself, and she doesn't think about the people that she has around her that look to her for guidance or for support. Ever since I was a little kid, and when my dad wanted to become a Pokemon trainer, she thought it would be best for her to do the same thing, so she left, with me being the one to take care of all of the kids. It's at this moment you can tell that Brock's getting agitated again, as Togepi begins to stir a little bit, but the breeder quickly calms down, as he doesn't want to wake her up, considering she's going to need all the rest that they're going to get. This is where the trio is going to be joined by someone else, Brock's next sibling under him, Foster. The boy tells Brock and his friends that they should leave. He knows that Brock is upset about the situation and what's going on, but the fact of the matter is, their dad came back so that way he could take responsibility for the gym, and Brock's journey isn't over. If mom costs them the gym and everything that comes along with it, then so be it. After all, it's our parents' job to protect us, not you, Brock. This causes the gym leader to stand up as he walks over to hug his sibling, stating that even though Forrest is young, he understands how things work in the world, and it's something that Brock always tried to shield him from. He always wanted his younger brothers and sisters to have a childhood that he never could. However, reluctantly, they've all been forced into that situation, and the older they get, the more they're going to be exposed to it, whether they like it or not. However, Forrest tells Brock that he raised every one of them for 5 years while their parents were out and about. Most of us are either old enough to look after ourselves or to look after one another, so this means you don't need to have to burden yourself with the responsibility of all your siblings. Brock goes to say something, however Forrest tells him to stop. Listen, Togepi is still young, and you have to teach it the ways that things should be, and you can only do that when you're not here. Mom and Dad have no idea how to be parents. While Dad's made great progress in the last year since you've been gone, the fact of the matter is he still has a long way to go. And Mom, well, like it or not, she's a lost cause whether you want to admit it or not. So it's best if you go. After all, you still haven't completed your journey. You were just supposed to be coming back here to check up on things, and you got drug into the situation with the gym. But don't worry, I'll handle it, Forrest says, to which Brock looks at his younger sibling, and he simply smiles. He thanks Forrest for taking responsibility for things, and like it or not, he knows that the boy is right. So he turns to Ash and Misty, stating that they will be gone by sunrise. And the next morning, true to his word, Brock is the first one up, as he gets both Ash and Misty with Pikachu up, stating that they need to leave right away. They are out the door as the sun just begins to caress over the peaks that shadow down on Pewter City. This allows them to get a head start on things, as Brock takes one last look at his family home before they head to the east side of the city, as they are planning to take a new path that has opened right around Mount Moon, allowing them to get to their next destination that much quicker. A couple of hours later, Lola and Flint both wake up, and the woman wants to go talk to her son about the situation, considering that the previous night, her and Flint had a long discussion about not only her behavior, but his behavior as well. And she came to some conclusions, while she still admits that the gym is something that they need to keep the way it is, as she feels very strongly about it. She has finally opened her eyes to the fact that all of her children, most of all Brock, have been neglected by her as a parent, and she knows that it's something that she needs to make up, and she wants to admit to the boy that she has been wrong. But however, the moment she opens his door, she realizes that it's too late, and she may never get the chance, as her eldest son has left without saying a word. Now we change over to Jesse, James, and Meow. They have made their way farther into the inner sanctum of the Tree of Beginning. They have been traveling for quite a while through some of these caves and have seen some pretty rare Pokemon even for the Kanto region, including one known as Noibat, a Clefairy, a Clefable, Jigglypuff, and Wigglytuff, and not to mention the fully evolved rock-type Golem. They all live here inside of the sanctum. However, they all seem to be a little bit agitated at the presence of these humans, like the presence of Team Rocket that was here before has all set them on edge. Both Jesse and James do their best not to rattle anybody's cages, literally and figuratively, though unfortunately they do get attacked by some of them, as the impression of most of them that the humans were gone and they finally could reclaim their territory. Luckily, Meowth is able to talk most of the attacks down, preventing minimal battles that are forced to happen. But unfortunately, as they get deeper in the sanctum, those battles are gonna have quite a few more interactions, forcing both Jesse and James to use Arbok and Weezing to fend off all of the high-level Pokemon that they're beginning to experience. It's mainly the Golem, a Pokemon known as Marowak, that are presenting the biggest problem to the Rocket Trio, but they are fortunately able to make it to the next Rocket Research Station and they secure themselves inside. But all the while, a mysterious figure watches from a cliff above, as it's not quite sure what to make of these three. It doesn't get the same sense of aura that they had from the other people. All the while, on the inside, Jesse and James are happy to be out of the line of fire, but unfortunately, if they get attacked again, both Arbok and Weezing aren't going to be able to do much to help them, as the two are totally spent. Once they recall their Pokemon, the trio begin to look around, and this is where they see that this research station is in a little bit of a worse shape than the last one. Most of the power to the building has been cut, leaving all the mechanical equipment on reserve. However, there is one thing that is blinking on the console. It is a button, to which Meowth notices and he pushes it, which causes one of the screens to activate. As the screen turns on, the three are struck by who it is. It's actually Dr. Fuji. They thought that he had recorded the last of his notes inside of this journal. However, this must be his professional recordings, his data logs for Giovanni. Meowth states, to which both Jesse and James concur. However, there's a statement that catches the attention of the trio, as Fuji states that they have hit a problem. With Giovanni's insistence for results, Team Rocket was forced to push deeper and deeper into the tree itself, violating the inner sanctum and catching the aggression of all the Pokemon that were inside that called it home. However, the environment that they discovered is one that you wouldn't expect. It's clear that a great catastrophe happened around this place. In our diggings, we found signs that a great amount of heat hit the region at one point. Judging by the sedimentary layer, it puts it around 3,000 years ago. But inside of the tree, it's untouched, almost like they had something protecting it, an energy field of some sort. But that's crazy, as that type of technology wouldn't exist until about 10 years ago before this recording had taken place. Fuji goes on to state that besides that point, they have made great progress in the inner sanctum of the tree. There will be new research stations built, as in that area they have never been before. It seems that there has been no human activity in any recorded history compared to what they can find. So this will be the last record kept at this location as they move deeper within. This is where the video ends, and Jesse states that they're going to have to go deeper as well. It seems like there's more down there that they need to find out. But James and Meowth think that they should rest. Their Pokemon are completely spent, and they've been running for quite a while. And not to mention, they haven't found any real food in any of these places, and it wouldn't hurt them to look around. But just as Jesse begins to get irate at them deciding to disobey her, they are attacked by a Pokemon that seems to be completely out of place in this area. Meowth identifies this as a normal type known as Lickitung. However, they're not normally found in this part of the region, more farther south, so it wonders what it's doing here. However, the Scratch Cat isn't going to get a chance to ask it, as Lickitung begins to attack them, as it's not happy that these intruders have invaded its home. But this battle is going to be short-lived when the entire lab that they're in begins to rock violently, causing all of them to fall down. Then, something begins to smash on one of the walls, causing light to begin to peek through. This immediately causes Jesse, James, Meowth, and Lickitung to tense up, as they're not sure exactly what this is, but whatever it is strong as it's continuing to smash, only for a great stone face to be revealed through the opening that was created. This causes Jessie, James, Meowth, and Lickitung to become extremely nervous, as all 4 of them realize that they can't stick around. This stone Pokemon that they've never seen before is being quite aggressive, and it's not going to stop until it gets inside. It seems that it's after all of them. This forces Jessie, James, Meowth, and even Lickitung to escape out of a window as this stone golem continues to smash away at the front of the building. Now, with no other choice but to proceed, all 4 of them head down a pathway that was clearly carved out by some other humans that had been here before, most likely Team Rocket. And now we move back over to Ash and the rest of our heroes. They have finally reached the path that is going to lead through the area of Mount Moon. However, it's here that we discover Misty has a problem with this, as she hadn't realized up until this point that this path leads directly to Cerulean City. The redhead is very much against heading to this way, stating that there is a gym in Saffron and they should head there, as it looks like the walkway separates into 2 diverging paths at about the peak of the trek. However, Brock states that it would take them longer to get to Saffron if they head that way. It's much more efficient for them to head to Cerulean than Saffron. However, the redhead isn't having it. She refuses to budge on this situation, stating that they're going to go to Saffron and they're going to hit another gym besides going to Cerulean City. She's heard nothing but bad things about that gym anyways, and besides, Kanto has like 10 or 11 different gyms, so Ash can simply pick one of those. She heard that there was one in Lavender Town. However, Brock states that that is completely out of the way. It's on the opposite side of the region, and they do have a bit of a time limit until the Pokemon League starts, so they need to consider that as well. But Misty refuses to let the subject go, even going as far to get into a fight with Brock about the situation, causing Ash, Pikachu, and Togepi just to watch on, as they're finding this quite amusing for some and a bit confusing for the others. However, this isn't going to have a result that anyone expects, as the redhead storms off, refusing to head to the City of Water, leaving both Brock and Ash standing there completely clueless about the situation and why Misty completely refuses to even entertain the idea of entering Cerulean. However, she wants to travel her own path, so they just decide to move on without her, figuring that she'll eventually catch up with them once she gets over this whole misguided notion that she has about this. So, Brock and Ash choose to ascend the path heading through Mount Moon, while Misty watches from afar just out of sight of the 2, as she looks on, wondering why her 2 friends would just leave her behind like that. This causes a pit of emotions to begin to well up within the redhead, as she begins to hear voices from 3 very familiar people in her past. This causes a slight tear in her eye to well, as she reaches into her bag and pulls out what looks like a badge case, and she opens it to reveal the Boulder badge, the Thunder badge, and the Volcano badge. This causes the redhead to think about the time that she left home and how long it's been since she's been gone. It's not something that she chooses to remember very often, considering she knows that if she were ever to go back, what is exactly waiting for her. However, we move on to Ash and Brock, and since they left so early from Pewter City, they were able to make pretty good time getting into Cerulean by midday. While that path does seem to be rugged, it is actually a quick one, as the old path that led through Mount Moon getting to Cerulean City would take most people 2 days just to traverse through the mountain. But this one is a much more direct route, and it favors the traveler who's in a hurry, which Ash is excited for, as because the sun is still high in the sky, that's going to give him a chance to go challenge for a gym battle, which is exactly the purpose for the boy being here in the city. This is then compounded by Brock, as he states that if they're going to go to the gym, they should head there as soon as they can, considering Misty would know that there's going to be one of 2 places in Cerulean that would be, either here at the center or at the gym, so that's going to be the most likely place that they would see her again. Ash states, "You don't have to tell me twice," as he takes off with Pikachu in tow, with Brock telling him to wait up, as he struggles to carry Togepi due to the newborn being full of excitement, wanting to take part in any type of adventure that it can. However, Ash's high energy is infectious, and Brock catches up rather quickly as the boy finds himself standing at the doors of the gym. However, they can hear what sounds like a loud roar coming from within, so they immediately open the door, only to be met with something that they weren't expecting. The gym is completely filled in all of its bleachers, and at the center of it sits a pool of water with 3 girls that immediately catches Brock's eye. They are putting on some sort of water ballet show, which Ash finds odd, commenting that he's never seen a gym like this before. But Brock backs this up, stating that every gym is different. Some leaders choose to just use it for battling, while others decide to have different style of shows within, as well as gym battles. So gyms really could be used for multiple things, and considering what this looks like to be is a water type gym, it seems they've chosen to put on some sort of a spectacle that involves water Pokemon, as they both watch the three girls begin to dance around with an abundance of water Pokemon as they display their mastery of the element by jumping through hoops and rings and commanding their Pokemon to use attacks. However, Ash says he doesn't have time for this. He came for a battle and he intends to get one, but almost like they heard him, this is where the three sisters don a microphone each and begin to talk to the crowd. It's now time for them to start their finale, and this is the favorite part of everyone that's within the crowd, as this is when Pokemon battles actually get a chance to happen. Come to find out that they're going to be asking a random trainer to step forward, anyone in attendance that would like to battle, and if there's somebody here to challenge for a gym badge, they would prefer for them to step forward, as they always like getting the chance to have their challengers on a grand stage. The girls then begin to pan around the audience, trying to see if they can find anybody's hands up. This is when a voice rings out from atop saying, "I will." However, because they're not within the lights, they can't really see where it comes from until a spotlight pans around and finally hits both Ash and Brock, who are standing at the top of a staircase. "I'll be your challenger," he yells, as Ash begins to run down the flight of stairs with Brock in tow. However, Ash doesn't seem to possess any means of stopping as he continues to pick up speed on his descent. If Ash doesn't figure something out here, then he's going to end up colliding into one of the walls that's at the bottom of the staircase. However, just as the boy gets to the second to last run, he uses all the strength within his legs to leap for his life in an attempt to jump over the barricade and land on the platform that the three sisters are standing on. Luckily for the boy, he possesses a great amount of agility when he sets his mind to something, and combined with his super hyperactivity, he is able to clear the distance rather easily, landing on his feet, causing the entire platform to swish back and forth as it is merely tethered down in the water by some ropes. This causes one of the girls to step forward, known as Daisy. She giggles a little bit, stating that she likes this boy's attitude and she would be glad to have a gym battle with him. This causes the crowd to begin to cheer as Brock finds a seat up front so he can get a good view with Togepi. This is where the three girls introduce themselves. One says her name is Lily, while the other one introduces herself as Daisy, and the final one says her name is Violet. They are known as the three sensational sisters of the Cerulean Gym, and all three of them are the current ranking gym leaders. This catches Ash a bit off guard as he wasn't expecting three different gym leaders, but this doesn't deter him any bit as he asks which one he's going to have to battle in order to get their badge. However, this just causes the three girls to giggle as they find Ash's lack of understanding of the situation a bit comical. This is where Daisy steps forward, stating that he's not going to have to battle one of them. He's going to have to battle all three of them in a series of 1v1 battles. He will have to win 2 out of 3 of them if he hopes to take home the Cascade badge, she says, as she holds up the badge to show Ash exactly what it looks like. And he's going to have to do it in front of all of their fans. This causes Ash to look around as if it was the first time that he realized that he's in front of a whole crowd of people. To this point, he hasn't really been on a grand stage to have a Pokemon battle, so this is a bit of a new experience for the lad. And for a brief moment, it causes his knees to buckle just a bit, but he catches himself, stating that he's on for their challenge, and he plans to take home that badge, as he only needs 3 more in order to get into the Pokemon League. Well then, it seems like we have ourselves a challenger, Daisy says, so please take your position, as I will be your first opponent. Ash turns to walk to his side of the battlefield, gulping a bit as he begins to think about what he just took on. However, it's too late to back out now, and he doesn't intend on leaving until he has that badge in his hand. However, he does have one advantage. He knows that this is a water-type gym, so he looks down to his oldest friend, Pikachu, asking if the mouse is ready to bring home an easy win, to which it sparks at its cheeks, throwing a couple of fists to signify that it's ready to take on this battle for a quick victory. However, as Ash and Pikachu both turn to face Daisy, they're met with a sight that they weren't expecting, as Daisy has already chosen her Pokemon, something that Ash identifies in the Pokédex as a Cloyster. This is making the boy feel a bit confident, as he's identified this as not only a water type, but an ice type as well, which means Pikachu will be the perfect match, considering that it knows both electric and steel type moves. So he's feeling really good about this. This is where Violet gets on the microphone, telling everybody to quiet down. They would like to start the battle, and they want their opponent to be able to focus. And Daisy tells Ash that he can take the first move, to which the boy wastes no time, calling for Pikachu to use a Thunder Shock in an attempt to bring home a quick win. However, he's going to realize real quick that there's a reason why these 3 girls are called the Sensational Sisters, as Daisy calls for her Cloyster to use something called a Spike Cannon. The Shellmon begins to fire the spikes from its shell at rampant intervals, drawing Pikachu's electricity and diverting it away from the water type so that way it is free from any damage. This catches Ash off guard as he tells Pikachu to stop and to use an Iron Tail. This causes the mouse to cut its attack and speed in quickly, trying to cause any damage that it can with a physical type steel move. However, once again, Cloyster is going to put up almost a near perfect defense as Daisy calls for withdrawal, causing it to recede within itself and close its shell, preventing any serious damage as it raises defense with being smacked with the Iron Tail. However, this is where Ash is going to realize that this was a big mistake in getting in close, as he sees that Cloyster did something else. It closed on Pikachu's tail just as it prepared to be hit with the Iron Tail, clamping the mouse in place. This causes Pikachu to begin to flail about a bit, as it doesn't like the pressure that it's feeling on the little Thunderbolt tail. Seeing the distress on his partner, Ash calls for another Thunder Shock. However, Pikachu is flailing about so much that it's not really paying attention, and this gives Daisy the perfect opening as she commands for Cloyster to end this with an Aurora Beam. Suddenly, Pikachu is enveloped in a brilliant light display as the mouth slowly begins to capsulize in ice before dropping, unable to move. This causes Cloyster to finally open back up again as Daisy chuckles to herself. Man, that was easier than I thought. I was hoping that I would at least get more than 3 moves out of Ash, she thinks to herself. However, Ash isn't one to give up here as he orders Pikachu to use an Iron Tail to try and break the ice. But unfortunately, the electric mouse is having trouble gathering any type of electricity within inside of its capsicle prison. But the mouse is slowly beginning to build electricity as its cheeks begin to spark and yield little bits of electricity. So Daisy can see that it's time to wrap this up, and before Pikachu can make any real great progress, she commands her Cloyster to use another spike cannon that begins to shoot from the shells of Cloyster once again, connecting with the iceberg that is Pikachu and sending it careening into the pool wall and Pikachu to drop beneath the waves. Ash immediately calls for the electric mouse, hoping that it's okay, but unfortunately Pikachu is quickly brought to the surface by a Pokemon known as Seal, as it has its tail in its mouth and the mouse has spirals in its eyes, giving Daisy the first win of this 3-on-3 gym battle. Ash can't believe his eyes. He didn't think Pikachu would lose like that. However, the boy doesn't have time to dwell on this, as he grabs the electric mouse, asking if it's okay. Pikachu gives a brief pika and a thumbs up, signaling that after some rest it'll be fine. This causes Ash to set it down next to him and telling his electric mouse not to worry about it. He's sure that they will get another win. This is where Lily steps forward, asking if Ash is sure about that. After all, he had the advantage in typing in that battle, and his Pikachu didn't even cause a scratch to Cloyster. However, Ash states that it's not always about type advantage, as he ponders the next choice from the Pokemon that he has on his belt. He knows it would be suicide to use someone like Charmeleon, even though it's possibly his most powerful choice, but the fire starter wouldn't do much against a water expert, especially if Pikachu couldn't even hold a candle to one of their Pokemon. Then there's Nidorina, who, while may possess the ability to steal a win, couldn't do too well inside of the water setting, so he'd want to prevent it from being able to be thrown into the pool by whatever they choose next. Then there's Butterfree. While it is a prime candidate, as it's Ash's oldest Pokemon that he's caught, fact of the matter is, it does have the flying type, and this is causing Ash to doubt its abilities to be able to stand up to the ice display that he had saw from the Cloyster, which means that the rest of these sisters Pokemon probably have the same type techniques. This really only leaves 2 choices, Bulbasaur and Squirtle. However, Ash thinks that it may be a little bit foolhardy to try and challenge a specialist at its own typing to win. But this is where Brock speaks up, telling the boy not to second guess himself. He's had great results with whatever Pokemon he's chosen in the past, so don't start doubting yourself now. This is where Ash realizes that Brock is right. It may be foolish to try and beat an expert at their own game, but it may be the best option he has and one that they won't see coming. So, as Lily calls for her next Pokemon, something known as a Dugong, Ash declares, "Squirtle, I choose you." The tiny turtle Pokemon pops from its ball, signaling that it will be Ash's next choice. This immediately piques Lily's interest, as she didn't think Ash would try to challenge her in a battle of typing, but she is keen to display that she is the better trainer than Ash. So, after the wave for the battle to begin, Lily wastes no time, calling for a Signal Beam in an attempt to hit Squirtle. However, Ash has the perfect counter, calling for a Rapid Spin that causes the Bug-type move to deflect off of its shell, as it begins to move closer and connects with Dugong for the first damage of this battle. However, the Ice type remains unfazed, as its thick body can take a bit of a pummeling, and considering Squirtle doesn't have a lot of weight behind it, that Rapid Spin is going to need a lot more power put behind it if it has any chance of being able to connect for some serious damage. But Lily is quick to retaliate when she orders Dugong to use a Headbutt. However, Ash tells Squirtle to use a Withdrawal, as it sucks itself inside of its shell, trying to copy the same technique technique that Cloyster had used in their battle before. But unfortunately, the power of Dugong is so great that it hits Squirtle clear across the battlefield, sending it careening into the pool below. Lily just chuckles to herself, stating that while Ash's Pokemon looks cute, it doesn't seem to possess the power that it would need to overcome her Dugong, as she orders the water type in after Squirtle. But Ash is going to be quick to prove her wrong, as she tells Squirtle to use the side of the pool that is by as a launching platform to send itself careening towards Dugong with another rapid spin. Using the force of this, Squirtle's able to amplify the power it's able to put behind the attack as it spins faster and faster, careening through the water to connect with Dugong just as it manages to break the water's surface. This doesn't even allow the water type to get inside of its element, as it's immediately sent upward with Squirtle breaking the surface, causing the tiny turtle Pokemon to burst from its shell just above Dugong, with Ash commanding for a water gun that connects with the head of the water type, forcing it to jerk back down in the direction that it had just come from, with Dugong slamming its head into the battlefield. Truth be told, this entire technique was a little bit brutal even for Ash, but the boy doesn't really see that at this current time. He's more surprised that it actually worked, to which Squirtle is as well, as the water starter lands just next to Dugong, only to reveal that the water type has spirals in its eyes after being hit twice in the head. This completely shocks Lily and the rest of her sisters. How did Ash pull off something like that? With Dugong now unconscious, she's forced to recall the water type as she replays the battle in her head, trying to figure out exactly where it went wrong. Could she have been too overconfident by facing Ash after the easy win that Cloyster had dealt over Pikachu? Nah, that couldn't have been. It had to have been luck that Ash used to beat Dugong, but unfortunately for Lily, she's gonna have to do this in her own time, as the third and final battle is here, with Ash recalling Squirtle after hugging it, celebrating a win, and Pikachu giving it a brief thumbs up in the support of its teammate. Now he stares down Violet, as she will be his final trainer for the day to face. The girl states that she's a bit impressed with Ash. She didn't think that his water type had the experience to overcome one of theirs. After all, they are 3 seasoned trainers, but it seems that just because his Squirtle's small doesn't mean that it doesn't possess the abilities to battle on a high level, so she commends Ash on this, especially with his ability and the demonstration he used with it being a water type. However, it was a bit unrefined, and the boy's going to have to work on the polishing of his attacks with Squirtle. However, Ash doesn't care about this, as he has just one battle. But unfortunately for him, Violet's going to reveal that the Pokemon she's going to use is possibly the strongest one that the gym has to offer at the current date, as from within a water pops a Pokemon that Ash has never seen before, only for his Pokedex to reveal it to be something called a Golduck. This could make things a bit difficult for Ash. However, the boy is going to have to make a choice, and considering there's really only one option left on his belt that isn't at a massive disadvantage against this Pokemon, he decides to declare, "Bulbasaur, I choose you!" As the grass starter of the Kanto region emerges from the ball, Violet is intrigued by this. Type advantage didn't work before, but he insists on trying it once again. Well, Ash is going to find out that he doesn't have the only type advantage in this battle, as she gives him the first move, to which Ash calls for a Razor Leaf from Bulbasaur, to which the grass starter easily uses. But unfortunately, Golduck is going to display that it's prepared for all situations, as the first move it uses is a Light Screen to minimize the damage from the grass type attack. Now, while the ability for this damage is minimized, the fact is it's still super effective, so it is going to cause some damage to Golduck. But it doesn't even flinch when it's struck with the razors, causing Ash to notice this and Bulbasaur to question its ability to actually use the move. It figured that it would have at least seen some sort of flinch, but nothing. Not even an eye wince. This causes Violet to chuckle a little bit to herself as she aims to take advantage of this confusion, causing for Golduck to use an Ice Punch, which immediately snaps Ash and Bulbasaur back to reality as the psionic foul begins to trek towards them with a glowing fist that aims to do the same thing to Bulbasaur that Cloyster had done to Pikachu, turn it into a plant sickle. However, Ash tells Bulbasaur not to let this hit it, as he commands for a Vine Whip, to which the grass type is able to use very effectively, encapsulating the fist of Golduck, forcing it to stop, as now it's in a deadlock with Bulbasaur to prove who has more strength than the other. But unfortunately, the ice that's wrapped around Golduck's fist is going to soon penetrate the grass vines, as they begin to crystallize in ice, causing Bulbasaur to wince in pain. However, Ash tells the grass type to remain strong and to lift Golduck into the air. This is a bit surprising to all 3 of the gym leaders, leaders as Bulbasaur demonstrates its ability to push through the pain and send Golduck into the gym floor, causing the fowl to let out a little bit of a cry as this is the first real damage that it's taken. However, just because it got hurt doesn't mean it's out, as Golduck stands back up with the intent of firing a Hydro Pump in the direction of Bulbasaur. But this is where Ash is going to play things to his advantage, as Bulbasaur is smaller than most Pokemon, being a first stage evolution, so it's able to easily dodge the Hydro Pumps, making Golduck a bit agitated with the situation. However, Violet is remaining calm, cool, and collected, as she tells Golduck to use a Confusion at Bulbasaur's next jump, which immediately catches the grass type in midair, and it becomes unable to move. This causes the first stage to begin to thrash about violently as it levitates in the air, with Golduck's eyes glowing, and Violet stating that she was having so much fun, but it's time that they brought this battle to an end. She then commands Golduck to send Bulbasaur flying into a gym wall in an attempt to knock it out, kind of in the same way that Squirtle had done to Dugong in the match before. Golduck executes this command with prejudice as it puts all the force that it can, sending Bulbasaur careening across the gym with a brief pop to signify that the speed that it's traveling at could have possibly been the grass type breaking the sound barrier. However, Ash is going to have to think on his feet, and he commands for Bulbasaur to use its Vine Whips and coil it up between it and the wall. This allows the vines to act kind of like a spring, cushioning Bulbasaur as it collides with the wall and allowing it to jettison itself off at a great speed back in the direction of Golduck. This is where Violet tells it to charge an Ice Punch as it fires a Hydro Pump. But Ash isn't going to let this go unchecked, as it commands for Bulbasaur to use a Vine Whip to knock away the Hydro Pump that's coming their way, and to fire a Razor Leaf within the direction of Golduck. This forces the fowl to fire its Ice Punch early to hit away at the Razor Leafs, as the glowing that it had been going through due to the increased defense that it had got from the light screen begins to finally fade off. This is where Ash realizes that it's their chance, but he's gonna have to get in close in order to execute their next attack. This is where he tells Bulbasaur to stop using the Razor Leafs and to use the vines to grab around Golduck's waist and pull them in close to each other. This catches Violet a bit off guard, as this is going to put Bulbasaur directly within striking range of one of the Ice Punches, and it's going to make it very dangerous for the grass type. However, little does she or Golduck know, this is what Ash and Bulbasaur both want, as they get in close and the grass type is able to execute its move that it's been preparing since it had wrapped its vines around the waist of the water type. As the gap is closed, Golduck prepares to strike Bulbasaur, only for the bulb on its back to burst with some sort of sparkly powder that immediately catches Golduck, causing its punch to begin to lose power and the ice to fade from its fist as it strikes Bulbasaur. This is when Golduck drops to its knees as a bubble begins to form at its beak and it snoozes away, signaling that it has gone off to La La Land. This causes Violet to wince as she calls to Golduck for it to stand up, but unfortunately the fowl is unable to hear its trainer as it simply snoozes away, while giving Ash and Bulbasaur the perfect opening for the grass type to finish this with a Razor Leaf, striking Golduck down and bringing this battle to a close as a wave of sighs come over the crowd, with them unhappy that their favorite gym leaders have just lost. However, Violet, Daisy, and Lily all step forward, telling them that they will not have any of this. Ash won fair and square. While he got off to a rocky start, Ash proved that he was a great trainer, and as proof of his victory at the Cerulean Gym, he's going to be presented with the Cascade Badge. The three gym leaders then turned to Ash and Bulbasaur, telling them that they were happy to battle with the boy, and he's the first one to present any real challenge to them in quite a long while, and they look forward to watching him battle in the Pokemon League. However, Ash's moment in the sun is going to be interrupted as he grabs the badge from Lily's hand, only for Lily to notice a very auspicious redhead sitting in the front row, trying not to have any attention drawn to herself. But the girl knows instantly who this is, asking if their little sister was able to finally become the water-type Pokemon master that she had set out to be. And this is where we are going to end things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about this part? What do you think about the unresolved issues that Brock is having with his parents? Or how about the issues that Misty seems to be having here in Cerulean City, and the fact that she started out on a Pokemon journey of her own but never really finished it? How about what's going on with Jessie, James, and Meowth, and that message that Fuji had recorded inside of that rocket base before it was attacked by that giant stone Pokemon? And what about the Lickitung that's traveling with them? What significance is that going to have? And what other things are they going to find as they head deeper into the sanctum of the Tree of Beginning? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Alright trainers, I hope you have your Pokédexes ready, because today we met Clefairy, Clefable, Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, Golduck, Golem, Noibat, Marowak, and Lickitung.